Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Oh Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda Shri Radhe. Jaya Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jayam Vishnupad Paramamsa Parivrajacharya Astottara Satasi Srimad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramamsa Parivrajacharya Astottara Satasi Srimad. His Divine Grace Shri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 9, text number 34. The chapter is entitled Brahma's Prayers for Creative Energy. Nana karma vitanena, Nana karma vitanena, Prajabhavi sisrikshitaha, Prajabhavi sisrikshitaha, Natma vasidatyasmimste, Natma vyasidatasmimste, Vaishyan mad anugraha, Vaishyan mad anugraha, Nana karma vitanena, Prajabhavi sisrikshitaha, Natma vasidatyasmimste, Vaishyan mad anugraha. One Vaishnava, please. Nana karma vitanena, Prajabhavi sisrikshataha, Atma vasidatasminste, Vaishyan madanugraha, Nana karma vitanena, Prajabhavi sisrikshataha, Atma vasidyatestimste, Vaishyan madanugraha, Nana karma vitanena, Prajabhavi sisrikshataha, Atma vasidyatestimste, Vaishyan madanugraha. Vaishnavis. Prajabhavi sisrikshataha, Atma vasidyati asmimste, Vaishyan madanugraha, Nana karma vitanena Prajabhavishishrikshataha Natmavasidyatasmimste Varshiyanadanugraha. Nana karma, varieties of service. Vitanena, by the expansion of. Prajaha, population. Bhavihi, innumerable. Sisrikshataha, desiring to increase. Na, never. Atma, self. Avasiddhati, will be bereaved. Asmin, in the matter. Te, of you. Varshiyan, always increasing. Mat, my. Anugraha, causeless mercy. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Since you have desired to increase the population innumerably and expand your varieties of service, you shall never be deprived in this matter, because my causeless mercy upon you will always increase for all time. Purport. A pure devotee of the Lord, being cognizant of the facts of the particular time, object, and circumstances, always desires to expand the number of devotees of the Lord in various ways. Such expansions of transcendental service may appear to be material to the materialist, but factually they are expansions of the causeless mercy of the Lord towards the devotee. Plans for such activities may appear to be material activities, but they are different in potency, being engaged in the satisfaction of the transcendental senses of the Supreme. The translation one more time. Since you have desired to increase the population innumerably and expand your varieties of service, you shall never be deprived in this matter, because my causeless mercy upon you will always increase for all time. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Pyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everybody. It's my great pleasure to be here with all of you today. There were many senior devotees, as you have heard over the past few days, in the lead up to Ram Navami. So today, unfortunately, you have me speaking. But today I am praying also to all of you and to those senior devotees that we may be able to share something with you about this verse. And I also want to take the opportunity to thank the organizers for allowing me this opportunity to speak today. So, the context of this verse is coming in the chapter where Lord Brahma is praying to Lord Vishnu to have some potency to create some. He needs some encouragement. He has just taken birth from the navel of Lord Vishnu, and he wants to create. He has this inclination to start the creation, and so he starts praying for blessings and empowerment. But at the same time, he's also very anxious. He feels depressed, seeing the waters of devastation, and seeing him like this, Lord Narayan starts to speak to remove all of his illusions. So this verse is one of those verses which the Lord is using to instruct Lord Brahma. So when I was reading this verse, there was one word which is particularly struck me in a way that will kind of come out in this class and will be the theme of this particular lecture, and that is the word desires. So Lord Krishna is sharing with us how we can receive his mercy and empowerment from the spiritual master and also from the Lord himself. In this particular situation, the Lord is Brahma's spiritual master, and so he is encouraging him to perform the activities for creation. The verse states that Lord Brahma desires to fulfill his spiritual master's instruction, and therefore he is never deprived, and he will eternally receive increasing mercy and empowerment. So the formula for this verse is that when we have these spiritual desires, when we have these desires to fulfill the instructions of our spiritual master, then we get empowerment and we get mercy. So to expand on this in a little bit more detail, I want to use the analogy of starting a car or driving a car. So when we when we desire to follow the instructions of the spiritual master, this is the first stage. So we accept those instructions and then we have the desire to fulfill them. This is like the ignition. We are starting the car. Then we can act in pursuance of fulfilling these instructions. But this desire needs to also come from a humble mood as well. And we'll talk a little bit more about this later on today. So as devotees, our life's goal, our life's attempt is to realign our desires with Lord Krishna's. And we can do this through the instructions of the spiritual master, because the spiritual master is the person who is guiding us towards this particular goal. That is their role in our lives. In this purport, Srila Prabhupada says, the activities that are spiritual, are different in potency, because they are being engaged in the satisfaction of the transcendental senses of the Supreme. So these spiritual activities, these spiritual desires are different from the material desires. They have a completely different result, because the goal is to satisfy the senses of the Lord and not our own senses. These acts of selfless service are what attract the Lord to be present in our lives. So that's the first stage. The first stage is desire. So when we desire something, we need to do something about it. But as devotees, we know that we can't just do something. We also need empowerment. So the result of cultivating desire, spiritual desires, is that we receive empowerment from the spiritual master. This empowerment is like the engine in the car. It's the thing which produces the force, which allows us to then move forward to our final destination, our final goal. On our own, we're not really able to perform devotional service because we have, at least I have, so many things in my heart, so many obstacles, so many challenges that I need to overcome. But Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu in this verse, he's saying, you shall never be deprived in this matter. So this is where he is giving the empowerment. The spiritual master is giving the empowerment for us to act and move forward in our devotional service. I'm remembering one story in this connection with His Holiness Sachinanda Maharaj, and we were just outside here in the corridor, and he stopped to talk to me, and he said, the stairs at Bhaktivedanta Manor are very famous. Why are they very famous? Because Srila Prabhupada walked up and down them, and there's a very famous portrait where Srila Prabhupada is walking down the stairs, and it depicts Srila Prabhupada as a very potent and very powerful personality, which of course we know that he was. But Maharaj said to me in connection with these stairs is that in order to reach the higher step, we need to leave behind the lower steps. So the point that I understood that he was trying to make, he just smiled and left, which left me with this mysterious instruction. But the point that I understood from this instruction is that in order to make progress in devotional service, in order to make progress in Krishna consciousness, we have to leave behind those lower things. We have to somehow or other overcome those challenges using the engine of empowerment so that we can reach the higher steps. The Lord will never neglect us in the performance of devotional service, so we will always be equipped in the right way to carry out our services. Sometimes He may remain silent, sometimes He might not answer our prayers, but He's still standing on the altar. He's still smiling at our endeavor. So we can know that He's still present in our lives. So this is the second step. This is empowerment. The third is action. So when we receive empowerment, we have to do something with it. We have to perform our best endeavors so that we can then show our gratitude to our spiritual master for the investment that he has made in us. A devotee of Srila Prabhupada is not idle in their devotional service. It's not that we only sit down and do meditation on Krishna. We also do other services. We do Sankirtan, we do preaching, we do many other services, studying the books given by Srila Prabhupada. In Nectar of Instruction, text 3, Srila Prabhupada makes a comment here. He says, Bhakti is a sort of cultivation. As soon as we say cultivation, we must refer to activity. Cultivation of spirituality does not mean sitting down idly for meditation, as some pseudo-yogis teach. Such idle meditation may be good for those who have no information of devotional service, and for this reason it is sometimes recommended as a way to check distracting materialistic activities. So Srila Prabhupada is saying here that we must do something. We must perform some kind of activity in devotional service. And when we receive this empowerment from the spiritual master, when we've received this empowerment from the Lord, we must act in a way to show our gratitude to those personalities. So our actions in devotional service can be compared to selecting the gear and then pressing the accelerator. These are the things that we do to move forward. So when we are engaging our mind, our body, and our words in devotional service, we're engaging the right gear that allows us to move forward in our Krishna consciousness. And the fourth step, so we've desired to do something, we've received some empowerment, and we've done some action, we've done some activity in devotional service. The fourth step is that we receive mercy. So we've carried out our devotional service to the best of our ability, and we receive mercy. This is the nectar that we are all looking for. When our spiritual master sees us performing devotional service to the best of our endeavor, he becomes pleased. When our mentors, when our senior devotees, when our well-wishers, they see us advancing in Krishna consciousness, they all become pleased and they smile upon us. And through that smiling upon us, we receive their mercy in order to continue in our devotional service. Again, in Nectar of Instruction, text number 3, Srila Prabhupada comments that one should not be impatient in discharging devotional service, but should take instructions from the spiritual master and execute them with patience, depending on the mercy of Guru and Krishna. The successful execution of Krishna conscious activities requires both patience and confidence. We all know this verse, Utsahan Nischayat Dhairyat. Srila Rupa Goswami here is encouraging us to have enthusiasm, to have confidence, and to have patience in our execution of devotional service. So, mercy is such a key part of making advancement. And therefore, it can be compared to the petrol in which we put in the car. It's the lifeblood of our devotional service. It's the fuel by which allows us to make progress swiftly. And Srila Prabhupada is saying here that we must be dependent on the mercy of Guru and Krishna. So the 4 stages in following the instructions of the spiritual master. 1 is desire. Yes, we must desire to fulfill their instruction. 2 is empowerment. Yes, by desiring we receive empowerment in order to be able to perform. 3, action. Actions in devotional service. And when we perform actions in devotional service, what do we receive? Mercy. We receive mercy. And through that mercy, we are able to continue to develop spiritual desires. We are able to continue to develop desires to fulfill the instructions of the spiritual master. So, in this last little section that I want to talk about the mood in which we perform these activities, the mood in which we follow the instructions of the spiritual master. Coming back to this verse that we're talking about today, Lord Brahma is Lord Vishnu's disciple, and Lord Vishnu is instructing him, encouraging him to perform the activities that are required for creation. But Lord Brahma, or the disciple, needs to also perform these activities in a certain mood. And hopefully, if we have some time, I'll also share some stories as well with you about demonstrating these qualities and some lessons that I have learned as well. So the first is a mood of submission. By submitting unto the spiritual master, we are able to accept their instructions in our heart. And that's the first step in the process. Devotees want to develop this submissive attitude to the spiritual master because by bowing down to them, we open up the path to realizing Lord Krishna. In this particular purport, Srila Prabhupada makes a comment here. A pure devotee of the Lord, being cognizant of the facts of the particular time, object and circumstances, always desires to expand the number of devotees of the Lord in various ways. So in our lives, what we find is that the spiritual master, the pure devotee, is carving out a path for us. They are allowing us to make progress towards Krishna through our devotional service. This path is specific, it's individual, and it's personal to us. It's based on the facts of the particular time in our lives, the objects, and the particular circumstances. Which means no path looks the same, no two paths look the same. They create this path through instructions and tests which are infused with love and affection. In the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, verse number 34, Srila Prabhupada makes the comment, Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki jai, Shri Sri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, verse number 34, Srila Prabhupada makes the comment, one must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master, and when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses the disciple with spiritual understanding. A bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind toward the disciple. Therefore, when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries becomes perfect. So here Srila Prabhupada is explaining that when a disciple approaches the spiritual master with genuine submissive desire to improve, then the Guru, being kind to the disciple, grants spiritual knowledge and understanding. There was one very sweet interaction that I had with His Holiness Sachinanda Maharaj when we were in Goloka Dham. So Goloka Dham is in Germany. The deities there are Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan. This is kind of like the temple that Maharaj built and has cultivated over the many years. We were sitting in kirtan together and Gaur Krishna Prabhu was singing. And Maharaj comes in, he sits next to me. And in this kirtan, he's showing me how he plays kartals. So whenever we are together, I usually am playing kartals for Maharaj in his kirtans and his classes as well. So he shows me how he's playing kartals, and there's a very specific way that he plays kartals. And through this interaction, he was demonstrating, he was teaching to me how he wants the kartals to be played. He has a very particular style of being very soft, very slow, and he always makes the comment that he's not very musically talented, but in that one interaction I could see how much attuned he was into the theory, not only the theory of music, but also the practical implementation of that theory as well. So I don't know what he saw in me. I don't consider myself to be a submissive disciple, but I took on board these instructions, and now whenever we are together, I play kartals in the way that he tried to teach me. And so when we have this mood of submission, we are really able to make progress in our devotional service because we receive this final factor of mercy. And this mercy is so much a key part of our advancement in Krishna consciousness. So that was submissiveness. The second quality is non-judgmental. So the disciple should not challenge the instructions of the spiritual master, but rather they should be non-judgmental. In this purport, Srila Prabhupada sometimes he makes reference twice actually to the activities of a devotee appearing to be something else. So sometimes we may question whether this, the instructions of the spiritual master, and it's good to do that, but we shouldn't do that in a challenging way. Sometimes these instructions are delayed, but they are always eternally transcendental. In the Nectar of Instruction, text 6, Srila Prabhupada makes the comment, an empowered person who is actually engaged in the confidential service of the Lord should not be treated as an ordinary human being. For it is stated that unless one is empowered by Krishna, one cannot spread the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. And so in this particular purport, we can understand from this excerpt that the instructions that are given by the spiritual master are not just ordinary advice. They are not just ordinary guidance. They are not just ordinary words which they are passing on to us. These instructions are deeply and spiritually realized knowledge with the intention to help us grow and in the mood of love and affection. The spiritual master is spiritually empowered to help us advance in Krishna consciousness. So, I had one interaction with Maharaj where he was giving a japa kind of inspiration. So this was during the morning japa time in Buckland's Hall, and he was giving these japa inspirations. So in some cases, devotees would stop their japa as he was giving the inspiration, but in this case, I thought that it would be better for me to continue chanting because I had many other services to do throughout the day. So he motioned me to stop chanting, so I stopped, and then he continued. He finished the inspiration. We all continued chanting, and he again wanted to give another inspiration. I continued chanting whilst he was giving this inspiration, and I could see that he was getting a little bit annoyed, so he motioned for me to stop. So I stopped. And then afterwards we had a conversation about it, and he asked me why I was doing this. And I explained to him, "Oh, Maharaj, I have lots of other services that I'm doing in the rest of the day, so sometimes it's difficult for me to chant all of my rounds." And he said something which was quite interesting. He said, "You should try to come out of this lone wolf mentality." By this instruction, he meant that we should always try to be sensitive and consider what other devotees are doing, the time, place, and circumstance. We should be much more aware of the situation that is going on around us. Because I was so much absorbed in myself, I wasn't able to fully realize and understand the knowledge that he was sharing with the whole group at that particular time. So I wanted to share this story with you, although it's a little bit of a shameful story for myself in my actions, but because the mood of not being judgmental towards the spiritual master, trying to understand where he's coming from, trying to understand what knowledge that he's giving in his instructions. This is also an important aspect of being a disciple. And the final quality that I want to share with all of you is being faithful. So in all relationships, it is important to have trust and faith, because this enables us to accept guidance, express our doubts, and also share experiences. In our relationship with the spiritual master, this is even more important because they are helping us to reach the highest perfection. If we remember from before, we talked about patience and confidence. So faith is the foundation upon which we are able to cultivate these qualities of patience and confidence in devotional service. As we cultivate the faith in the instructions, our faith in the instructions of a spiritual master, we naturally become confident in their mercy, and we also feel that we've experienced this mercy in our lives. This is also expressed in Srila Prabhupada's purport in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse number 39. Such knowledge in Krishna consciousness can be achieved by a faithful person who believes firmly in Krishna. One is called a faithful man who thinks that simply by acting in Krishna consciousness he can attain the highest perfection. So we need to believe in Krishna. We need to believe in his representatives because they will certainly empower us in our devotional service. There's one final story that I want to share with you in this connection. In 2017, Maharaj gave me the instruction. We were on the Pandavasena retreat, coming to the end of the retreat, and he said to me, within you I see the natural potency for leadership. And he said, I'd like you to somehow or other get involved in the leadership of Pandavasena. And I tried at the time and nothing really came to fruition. But I meditated on the instruction that he had given to me, and I thought about how I could fulfill this instruction. Nothing really came out of it for many years, but a couple of years ago, His Grace Naveen Krishna Prabhu asked me to lead up a couple of projects, not directly linked to Pandavasena, but some subsidiary projects to Pandavasena. And I thought, by cultivating this desire for leadership, although I didn't necessarily do anything, I did a little bit of endeavor at the very beginning, I somehow or other was able to be patient in fulfilling this instruction to the spiritual master. And I was always meditating of the best way that I could possibly fulfill this instruction. And so maybe now he feels happy that I have managed to get into a position of leadership and fulfill this instruction. But remaining faithful to the instructions of the spiritual master is the foundation by which we can cultivate these qualities of patience and confidence in devotional service. So, to summarize, when we are following the instructions of the spiritual master, there are 4 stages. Desire, that's like starting the ignition by accepting the instructions. Empowerment, that's the engine which is giving us the power, the force to move forward in our Krishna consciousness. Action, which is selecting the gear, and that is endeavoring to our best ability. And mercy, which is the fuel which is injected into the engine. And the qualities that we must cultivate when we are carrying out these instructions are submissiveness, by following the instructions of a spiritual master. The Guru is teaching us to accept these instructions, non-judgmental. The Guru's instructions are not ordinary. And faithfulness, the Guru teaches us to have patience and confidence. Thank you all very much for your kind attention. We have a little bit of time for some questions, some comments, or some corrections. Prayojana Prabhu?
When you said about the following the instructions, there's a particular occasion with Mother Kalangana. it was a day of a birthday, actually a birthday get-together. And this was, actually it was the get-together we had shortly before she passed away. But she asked me to speak a Bhagavad Gita class. But somehow or other, I thought, oh, maybe I can turn this into a glorification. And then, so I proceeded to do, and then it handed over to people, and it proceeded to glorify. And then on the way back, she told me off. She said, I wanted a Bhagavad Gita class. I didn't want to hear anything about me. I wanted you to glorify Prabhupada, his purport, the thing that you're supposed to be doing. You know, and so she really chastised me for that. And I was like that. You know, I thought I was doing sort of a nice thing. But actually, no. It wasn't what she wanted, so that's what that reminded me of, actually. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you for sharing that. Parama Karuna Prabhu?
Thank you, Prabhu, for the class. Can you say something about causeless mercy? What does that mean? And here the Lord is saying that it will always increase over time.
So, causeless mercy is, by definition, something, mercy which is being showered upon us that doesn't have any particular reason for that particular mercy, other than the intention of showering love and affection. So the Lord is saying here that this causeless mercy is with Lord Brahma, and it's always increasing. So if we were to come back to these four stages, desire, empowerment, action, and mercy, that mercy leads to more and more desires to fulfill the instructions of the spiritual master, which then again leads to further empowerment, which leads to further actions, and therefore more mercy. Now, it is not to say by our actions that we receive mercy. That is not necessarily the case. But that mercy is always and ever present, and it is always increasing, as the Lord is telling us in this verse. But it is actually by our actions that we realign the vessel by which we are able to capture the mercy inside of our heart. If we imagine a waterfall, and the showers of water are coming down constantly, and if we are thirsty and we have a cup, but if our cup is aligned upside down, it's not going to capture any of the water which is going to quench our thirst. We have to put the cup the right way around so that we can actually capture the water and then actually drink that accordingly. And so in the same way, if we imagine ourselves standing at the bottom of this waterfall of mercy, at the bottom of the shower of mercy, and we have a kripa patra, this vessel of mercy, and it is fallen down on the side, it is not aligned in the right way, maybe we are capturing some of that mercy. But in order to fully capture that mercy, we need to be performing actions in devotional service to realign that vessel so that we can then capture that mercy and utilize it accordingly in our lives to again cultivate those spiritual desires, those desires to fulfill the instructions of our spiritual master. Does that answer the question?
So we have to do something to receive mercy.
We definitely have to. The mercy is always there. So it's coming there. But we have to do something so that we can align ourselves to that mercy, to properly capture that mercy.
So if we have to do something, how is it causeless?
That mercy is causeless because it is not by our action, really, that the mercy is present. It is only by our action that we are actually receiving that mercy in the proper way. That mercy is causeless because it's forever present there in our devotional service. But are we capturing it in the right way?
Can I give you an example? It happened this morning. It was really nice. Certainly the people in the annex realised it today. Yesterday, the showers, they were cold and they were fixed. And then this morning, they were cold again. And that was the causeless mercy. That's my first cold shower in a long while. So I thought, oh my God. But the shower, it was very quick, but effective. I felt great after. So here I am. And it's an experience. It's causeless mercy. It gave me a chance to sort of think about, it's meant to be. And actually, I've got to get on to the maintenance today, actually, about fixing it again. There's obviously some real fault with the boiler or something. And so, anyway, that was causeless mercy. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Prajna.
So thank you for the class. I just have a comment and a question. Just a comment is that Srila Prabhupada mentions the analogy of the sun, and the sun shines, so it shines constantly, but it's up to us whether we're in the shade or not, in terms of the mercy.
Yes.
And a comment or a question is, how do we, in terms of turning the cup upright, or in terms of like the car analogy, like how do we get a turbo boost in terms of what practical steps, like actions, do we do?
So Damodar Prabhu has introduced something new in here, turbo now, turbo. How do we get a turbo boost? So what I am thinking about at the moment is that the turbo boost comes through very, very special mercy. Now, when Srila Prabhupada would chastise his disciples, this was very special mercy. This is like the turbo boost. These moments of chastisement are the point in which we can make the most advancement in Krishna consciousness. Why is that? Because the spiritual master is directly addressing the faults that we have in our heart. In most occasions, he's smiling at us. In most occasions, he's positively encouraging us. But when we receive these thunderbolts of chastisement in our heart, they are the agent by which we can actually cut through the thick ropes of binding in material nature. So if I were to think of something which is like a turbo boost or a rocket engine on our ship, it would be these moments of chastisement. And very often, His Holiness Satyanarayana Maharaj shares this story of the opening of the temple in Amsterdam, and he said everything that could go wrong possibly went wrong in that particular installation, and the TV, the media were also present there, and Srila Prabhupada was really so angry. So Maharaj had actually hidden in the kitchen because, when Srila Prabhupada got really angry, it was not something that you want to be in his line of sight. But it's in these moments where we receive this chastisement from the spiritual master, that we are able to make so much progress in our devotional service, in our devotional practice, in our love for Krishna. And I think one thing that I just want to share with you on this subject matter is that these chastisements are done in the mood of love and affection. I can say, like I was sharing with you today about one experience that I had. I have had a few experiences like this with His Holiness Satyananda Maharaj. But in those moments, upon reflection, afterwards, I have never felt the most loved ever in my whole life. This is the point at which I felt the most love and affection from any other personality. Trumps everyone. And this is something that we do have to bear in mind, because these words can be very cutting for our false ego. They can be very cutting for our heart. But if we don't take it with a mood of love and affection, then we can sometimes also distance ourselves from the spiritual master. So we have to also receive this chastisement in the right way in order for it to be a turbo boost in our spiritual life. Krishna Kirtan Prabhu.
A comment and then a question. So with the causeless mercy, something I've asked many sadhus about, and the way that Bhagavatam Prabhu explained it to me really sat. I just thought I'd share it in address to Paramakaruna Prabhu's question. He said everything has a cause and effect in the world, and the Bhagavatam takes you back all the way to Krishna giving it to Brahma. We can look at our lives and we'll understand some causes and effects. We don't understand previous lives. Causeless mercy meant mercy comes from a devotee. Bhakti comes from a bhakta. So at some point we've done something to please a devotee. Once we were in South Africa and we were in the airport with Kadamba Swami, and we were trying to find a space to park the car because we had to board the plane and whatnot. And it's just nothing. Just kept going round and round and round. He was getting jarred. And then at one point, somebody just reversed out, and then Maharaj, we drove in, and then he said, Agyata Sukriti. Like, somebody opening a door for a devotee, and they don't know that the person they're opening the door for. So at some point, we've done something, but it's not equivalent. You can't equate it to the amount of rain that dropped. You may see, going to your cloud example, you may see one cloud, but then you see a storm. And you think, how's this working? That's that inconceivable relationship between the small action we do and the extraordinary result that comes. But then Buddha Bhavana Prabhu said, imagine if we consciously try to serve a devotee. Should we rely on luck? Should we be, disturbing Srila Prabhupada to keep being causelessly merciful? Or should we causally do something and then make it easier for him? And he said, don't take the mick, do something. So I thought that was a good thing that I wanted to share for that example. And the question of patience, you gave the example of meditating and delaying an instruction, and Prabhupada told his disciples write, and Giriraj Swami famously said that for 2-3 decades he didn't write, but he was always meditating on it, and just go and preach, and Prabhupada was meditating on it. My question to you, and thank you for the nice reflective deep class, was how can we differentiate between being sincerely patient versus being lazily ignorant or deflective and just thinking whatever, I'll do it down the line. So yeah, if you could.
Thank you for your question. So the common theme in the examples that you gave of patience in your question is that each of the personalities were meditating upon the desire of their spiritual master, the instructions of their spiritual master. If we are dismissive of an instruction, it may not even come to our mind. It may be something that we've just dismissed and we've almost trashed the instruction completely. So it doesn't even come in our consciousness. Now, Krishna may remind us, he may put us in situations to remind us, okay, you have this instruction from your spiritual master, try and do something to fulfill it, or at least think about it. But in the example of Srila Prabhupada, in preaching Krishna consciousness and spreading Krishna consciousness in the English language, the instruction that he got from his spiritual master, he meditated on that instruction throughout his life. And I was just sharing to some of devotees who were in our Sangha earlier this week that actually Srila Prabhupada made endeavors to fulfill that instruction. He may not have gone to the Western world, but he wrote Gita Upanishad. His wife traded that in for tea. You know, he moved to America, and then many of his belongings got stolen. So he was constantly meditating on this instruction that he got from his spiritual master, doing something about it and facing challenges, but also still doing something about it. In the example of Giriraj Maharaj, again, he didn't do something about it, but you're showing that he is meditating on this instruction constantly and persistently and regularly throughout his life. And the same was for the example that I gave when Maharaj told me about this leadership positions. It is not, I did something initially, but I didn't see that anything was coming out being fruitful. But I was constantly meditating on and praying for an opportunity to present itself. So, in order to be able to sincerely be patient in fulfilling those delayed instructions from the spiritual master, we need to be meditating on that. So that's the first thing that we need to do. We also need to pray, because Krishna, he is the orchestrator ultimately at the end of the day. If we pray to him, he may be able to somehow or other, through his devotees, through the causeless mercy of his devotees, present us with a situation that we can fulfill this instruction. And then we can also ask the spiritual master, okay, Maharaj, many years ago you gave me this instruction to become a leader in Pandavasena. This is what I'm doing now. Do you feel like this is fulfilling your instruction? So if we are approaching our spiritual master in a humble way, if we are trying to show him that we've made some endeavor to fulfill this instruction, this can be the kind of agent which helps us to understand how we can actually, maybe we need to continue to be patient, or maybe we've actually fulfilled this instruction from the spiritual master. So 3 things is the differentiating key: meditation, prayer, and inquiries. Okay, I am very much conscious of time. I thank you all very much for your questions. It is so nice to have a discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam with the devotees. So we will close here for today. Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki jai. Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Bol.